This is another video, and last time I was talking about you must stay away from the bad crowd and stuff like that. Well, for one thing, if you got a lot of people who encourage you to have sex, get married, or they might want you to get married with, or maybe not want you to get married, people encourage you. But biblically, though, I'm going to tell you, marriage is the only way to have sex. I mean, that's 1 Corinthians 6, 9, and 10, if you look that up, it's going to be in there. Biblically, you got to get married to have sex. So the best option is to live your life without having sex. You have to be, every man has to be able to learn how to live life, how to party, how to have a good time without having sex. Unprotected sex especially. Because unprotected sex is an industry in its own, making billions of dollars. You could just take off the hookers from the streets. I bet you could combine their sources of the hookers and the sex industry out there, which I'm going to tell you about, divorce lawyers, child support, medications for STDs, and all that. I bet you they make more money than a typical hooker does, or hooker ring. And hooker rings cause some of the sex industry. So the only true way to avoid it is to avoid sex altogether, and that's why every man should learn how to avoid sex. I mean, have fun without having sex. Just view sex as a way to get a baby and learn how to have fun without having sex. And that's the best way to go. I mean, sex is serious business. And it's what it is. It's a serious business. And I got some statistics that you can actually look these up on YouTube of STDs. Look up STDs, different STDs and all this stuff. I looked up some statistics. Well, an STD is a sexual transmitted disease. And do you know what brought down the American mob? Some of the old mobsters, Al Capone, you know what brought them down? Women. Women brought down Al Capone, forgot the other guy's name, and Charlie Luciano. Brought those three mobsters down because of women. Two of them was because of sex. You see, Al Capone died from syphilis back in 47. He died in 47, and he died because there was no cure at the time. So he died of that syphilis, of that disease. So basically, just sitting there having sex with women. He's actually was a level 2 MGTOW. No, he wasn't a level 2 MGTOW. But he was having sex with different women, and it caught up, that lifestyle caught up with him. So he ended up dying of syphilis. And syphilis still goes around today. It's curable disease, but you don't want to spend the money to cure that. Best way to prevent it is not having sex. But that's not the only thing on that. Do you know how many people in the United States estimate that have an STD? Over 110 million people in the United States have an STD, and 400 million worldwide is estimated. So you think of that, that's a large amount of people with an STD just in this country, in the United States alone. And there are 19 million new cases of STDs each year. And 5 million of those are new AIDS, HIV cases. And let me tell you something. When you get people who are not responsible, and other reasons to avoid sex, you get somebody who's not responsible that has a lot of sex, well, they might have sex with somebody with AIDS. And then they sit there having sex with somebody else, giving you AIDS. Let's say you're the ultimate sex machine, you don't do any drugs, and all that stuff, you can go a very long time, like you're the man, but you end up having sex with an HIV infected person, you get more AIDS in your body. HIV, technically HIV in your body. I'm gonna tell you something. HIV is still no cure for it. I mean, it's still a legit disease out there. So you don't want to mess with it. And 1 in 4 women on the highest sexual market prime from 18 to 24, 1 in 4 of those have an STD. So those are good reasons just to avoid sex altogether. I mean, okay, the government, some people want you to have sex because they can get a lot of money for their medications and stuff. But the best way to avoid it is not to have sex. You don't need to have sex to have a good time. You just don't need it. And people who are saying that, oh, you're no good because you're a virgin, you're a retard because you're a virgin, you're an incel. Screw them. They're going to probably end up getting STDs and stuff like that. And here's another thing about sex. If you have unprotected sex, like we've been talking about, man, you might have to pay child support. And the average child support is $430 a month. That's average to the Census Bureau. You add that up, that's 20,000. You add that up in 10 years, in 18, 20 years, that's how much you're going to have to pay. Because you're sitting there trying to oppress people. It's like, oh, yeah, I can't have sex. Who cares? That's what they're going to have to pay. Well, there's a sexually transmitted disease called HPV. I forgot what it's called. That leads to cancer. So that can be deadly. And HIV is still a death sentence, even today. It's only about the medication they give you today will give you about 80 to 90% of your life back. But believe me, HIV is a disease. It's like the flu. It mutates. And if you don't take that medication regularly, it'll mutate in your body. The more irregularly you take it, it'll mutate. And there's some cases in Africa that I saw that it's not curable with the medication today either. So it's why it's important to choose activities without having sex. Sex is what causes the whole problem. Oh, and by the way, you know how much AIDS medication is? $20,000 a year. It's not cheap. And I know some people get free, but guess who's paying for that? Other people who have not had sex, or responsible people. So the best way to avoid all that is to be mature and find ways to have fun without having sex. You can travel, you can camp, you can read. Bettering yourself, what I like to challenge you guys to do, bettering yourself. Weightlift. Be the strongest man in the world. Join competition, be the strongest man in the world. That's a great way. Be the best fighter. Be the best you can be. But go to the movies. But that's the best way. The monk is the best way to go in any MGTOW.